Every few days, there is news reported about Russia being aggressive, or China being aggressive, or another country having authoritarian rule. There seems to be a rise in authoritarian rule. While in the 90s, people are saying, well, democracy is everywhere. Now it's not the case. Marcus Kolga is with the Macdonald-Laurier Institute in Ottawa. Joins me right now because I want to put the question to you. You study the world and governments. There seems to be a rise in authoritarian governments, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Well, I think after the Cold War, we sort of fell asleep at the wheel. We went on autopilot. We believed it was the end of history.
Fukuyama.
That's right. Liberalism won. Authoritarianism had lost.
Right.
And throughout the 2000s and certainly the past decade, those authoritarian rulers have taken stock. They've rebuilt. There's a steep rise in their activity, and they're certainly posing a threat.
How do they get away with it? Or maybe we'll be looking at Canada in a few years because we don't have Parliament sitting very much anymore, and people will say, "Well, how did Canada become authoritarian?" I don't know, but I mean, how do the populations allow dictators to gain power?
Well, look, like I said, we've been on autopilot for most of the past 20 years. We've never challenged their current rise.
Well, why doesn't the population challenge it, though? Their own population?
Well, because there's a creeping repression that comes in with authoritarianism. The security services have risen in Russia. It's basically, in 2000, it was the KGB that came into power with Vladimir Putin.
Right.
And they used the same repressive tactics that they used during the Soviet time on their own people in order to repress them. And so
we know about the Chinese state, the Communist Party.
The Chinese Communist Party has perfected this over the past 50 years. They are a deeply repressive state. They engage in surveillance, repression, and we've seen, of course, what's been happening in Hong Kong, in Xinjiang and Tibet. This is, there's a genocide going on, and that's intended to repress that population.
Absolutely, there's a genocide, but also the Chinese government is just so aggressive. They told Vancouver the other day not to do this. How could a foreign government halfway around the world be telling a city in Canada what to do and what not to do? How do they think they can get away with it?
Because we've been allowing them to get away with it for as long as we have. Take the two Michaels. We allowed China. There were no costs. There were no real consequences that we imposed for their kidnapping, essentially.
And there's still the question of Huawei, and no decision made. Every other country in the world has virtually made a decision.
That's right. And if we can't make a simple decision like that, this is very clear. All of our allies have rejected it. They have banned it from their telecommunications system. We know how China behaves. We know how it uses its technology for surveillance and for transnational repression and to attack its enemies. Why are we not saying no?
But if we don't say no, all our allies are not going to be dealing with us anymore. They aren't going to give us any secrets.
Well, there seems to be a trend growing with that. In the Pacific region with AUKUS, our absence from that alliance, it's becoming a problem for us.
Marcus Kolga, we will follow that. Thank you very much. 3 minutes. Thank you very, very much for watching and for engaging in the 3 minutes, which will carry you through most discussions for the day. 2022 is going to be a very, very tough year. Stay with us. Please tell your friends to subscribe and PayPal. Thanks.